can you imagine what would have what would have happened if they said, well, slavery, of course, is the worst thing that you can do to anybody. So, but we can't have a war. So we're going to pay off the slave owners. We're going to, because when they didn't, they lost 625,000 lives. That's what the end of slavery cost. 625,000 lives. Now, why did they do that? Because the bankers are the ones that are going to benefit from any war.
And they never had
the South would be a totally different place if all that money had been given to the slave owners, the slaves set free. It would be a garden. It would be a garden spot. Because it would have this infusion of wealth.
Because it was golden money back by gold.
Yeah. It had something, but there's nothing wrong really with the money system, as long as the people control it. You don't control it.
Then you don't have any money.
But there is no money.
Right.
But we don't want money. We really want things. We want material things. So we have the possibility of having a barter system. And there was a really strong barter movement in this country in the 80s. And who put the kibosh on that? The IRS. The IRS said, "Oh, you can barter all you want, but you got to pay. You got to give us our cut." That killed it. So all these, we have in our hands the power to change the economy so that it's totally different and favors the people. Because the other system is fascism. If you doubt it, find a dime and look at the back of a dime. The fascists. In order to have an indictment, a federal indictment, you've got to have a federal grand jury indict. What is an indictment? It's an accusation of a crime. Right. Now, if you don't have the authority to do that, what have you done? You just slandered somebody. You defamed them. Right. That's a common law crime. Okay, now, in order to be a lawful grand jury, guess where you have to come from? What kind of territory do you think you have to come from if you're on a grand jury?
Federal territory.
Federal territory. That's the way it works.
You got to live there.
That's it. The judge has to live there.
Yeah, him too.
Yeah, and they don't.
They don't.
They
don't. They live in Manchester.
Yeah, and so you have all these people in prison, sent to prison on accusations made by people who don't live in the federal territory and convicted by trial jurors that don't reside there, and judges that don't live. You object based upon they don't qualify. You can't prove. Hey, how are you going to prove you're a domiciliary of the state of California? That you live in a corporation.
Yeah,
you see what the law does? The law makes you free because the law should be the truth, but it's not the truth anymore because they're faking it. They're making law for federal territory, and who lives on federal territory? But bears, chipmunks, and the park rangers. An engineer and I put a book together called "What Happened to Justice?" Because there's no justice except in Article 4. The only way you get justice is to commit a crime in a state. What's happened in the federal system has happened in the states. There are no fair courts. There are no common law courts in the states anymore. They're all administrative. They make their law. They make it appear to be based upon the common law, and everyone thinks it's the law. But when you get down to the jury system, these people have to reside on federal territory. So it's just a mirror image of the federal system, which is no system at all except to imprison Americans on their own land. Just like they try to imprison the Indians on reservations. They're doing the same thing to everybody. And they come up with these, now it's terrorism. You don't have to look, you send a letter to the congressman and say, look, this is the example we're using in the book. Judge Manuel L. Riel, L for Lawrence, is being considered for impeachment for some other things that he did. But the main reason why you should impeach him is because he doesn't live on federal territory. It's a federal. Federal judges are required to live on in the district where they have court. It's been the law since 1812.
And the state judges?
The state judges just have to reside within the county. See, well, what everybody believes is that the county is the same place that federal judges have to reside in, but it's the federal territory in the county. See, counties, where are they? Lines. We're in Los Angeles County, but we're only in Los Angeles County because there's a line out there that's
Yeah.
borders Orange County and Ventura. It's a line. It's not a place. And so, what we want to do is we want to free our minds so that we start understanding what these things are all about, so that we can write a letter. All you do is write a letter to the congressman and say, look, impeach him because he's violating the law. He is not a resident of the judicial district because he's living in Rancho Palos Verdes. Yeah, I figured out that he was an easy target because he was being investigated, and so we put him in the book. And then this last week, the Daily Breeze newspaper came out with an article about how he was being impeached, or they were beginning the process of impeaching him. And then I discovered, oh, it's from Rancho Palos Verdes. Well, there is no federal territory in Rancho Palos Verdes. See how easy this is? And so what are you doing? You're teaching, and if everybody in the community gets together and we just impeach one federal judge, are we strong?
Yes.
Have we accomplished practically everything that we want to accomplish? Because we can do it to any other judge.
That's right. They know it.
Because none of them live on federal territory. Nobody understands what the law is. And these guys are in charge.
Leave his office.
Okay, why do people not steal apples? Because they think it's against the law. And in certain circumstances, it is the law, against the law. No, but if that apple is on your property, you can take as many apples as you want. As long as the IRS doesn't see you taking them, because they're going to say, well, those apples you can be sold for money, and we want our cut.
Are they really going to?
How does Congress get into power?
Well,
Who votes for them?
you know.
It's a process.
You see,
We're
you
supposed
start
to vote for
exercising
it.
your power,
You're
and you
supposed
never
to vote
stop
for it.
exercising your power, and you start realizing what power you have, because you haven't realized it. You don't know that you've had this power because you don't have the knowledge. Knowledge is what gives you power.